So mitrumas meiser yalfinan, do we learn out from how much the Levi gives the Kohen, right? The truma of meiser, right? You give 10% to the Levi, and then he gives 10% of that to the Kohen, right? Hence the word trumas meiser, truma of the meiser, which would be a total is 1/100th of your crop. So yalfinan la o mitrumas midjan yalfinan la. Do we learn when the Jews went out to battle against Midjan?
Okay,
so a certain percentage they had to give 1/500th. They gave
5/100.
What?
1/500.
Yeah, 1/500. They gave for that. So do we learn from that word? Because both the word harama, right, the word of truma, of taking off, I don't know where we're going to learn it from. So interestingly enough, I don't know how often this happens. The Gemara says it's like neither side to the question. There's a third option. So Tashik Ma, come in here. The Tanya Reb Chia, Nemar kan veherim. It says, and he will remove from the ashes and take off a truma for it, referring to the Kohen. V'nemar la'alon, and it says when we have a mincha offering it and the Kohen takes a kmitza, right, the 3 fingers, right, the same way by a mincha you take off a kometz amount, so here also the Kohen just takes a kometz. So the Gemara actually brought a third option, which I don't know how often that happens. Amar Rav says, Arba vodos. So now, really what we're going to get back to now is going to discuss if a Yisrael does Trumas Hadeshen, is how bad is that? That's what we're going to get to. That's how it fits over here. At first, it doesn't seem to be that way. We'll see. So Amar Rav, Arba avodos zor chayv alei misa. There are 4 avodos that a zor is going to be chayv misa for. Zrika, right? The throwing of the blood, not the sprinkling. It's actually more of a throw. That's why it's zrika. Vaktara, or the burning of the fats. V'nisa chamayim, the pouring of the water, which you do on sukkos. V'nisa hayayin, the wine libations, which you would do every Talmud offering. Basically, almost every offering would really usually have a wine libation with it. So only those 4. Levi Amar Av Trumas Hadeshen. Levi comes along and says, also, if a Yisrael would do Trumas Hadeshen, he'd also be Chayiv Misa B'dei Shemaim for doing such a thing. So the Machlokes again, Rav and Levi is, would a Yisrael be Chayiv for Trumas Hadeshen? Rav holds no, Levi holds yes. So V'chein Tani Levi Masnise, Levi also taught over in his Mishnayos. Levi had his own version of Mishnayos, and in his Mishnayos he added that in. Av Trumas Hadeshen, also Trumas Hadeshen Yisrael will be Chayiv for. So the Gemara wants to know my time at the Rav, what's the reason of Rav? Because it says in describing when Hashem was telling Aaron what they're going to do the avoda, Va'atu v'necha itach tishmus konaschem, you and your children will watch to guard. You will do right, your kahuna, no one else. The chol dvar mizbeach, anything that will be done on the mizbeach, umi beis la paroches, and from by the paroches avatem avodas matana, and you will do the avoda of matana. Matana is a giving, right? A voda of putting something, of doing something. I'm giving you your kahuna. V'hazor hakarev, you must, right? And any zor is going to do any one of these avodas, he's going to get misa b'dei shemayim. So Rav learns in the pasuk, why is this extra word matana put in? Is avodas matana. It has to be an act of giving, an act of putting something, that kind of avoda. V'lo avoda siluk, and not avoda of removing, which is the ashes, and therefore he holds that's not enough of an avoda to be chayiv for. Vavatem avoda. So now to go back and explain why only those 4, right? Well, once we got on this topic, we got mentioned the 4, right? We have the throwing of the blood, the burning of the fats, and the 2 libations, the wine and the water. So why only those? So the word that was chosen when it said the word avoda was va'avad tem, right? And I added the tem in there, so we kind of split it up. We already had this at least twice so far in Shas. We had uchsav tem by mezuzah. You have to make sure all the words are tam, because when you break the word into 2, do an avoda of tam, of perfection, a complete avoda. Similar by lulav and esrog, we have ulakach tem lachem. It has to be a kicha tama, a complete lakicha. You have to have all the species, you can't just have some of them. So similar, we're going to say vavad tem, it has to be complete avoda. So avoda tama. So how do you define a complete avoda? V'lo avoda sheishachareh avoda. Not a avoda which is part of a process which is trying to get you to a goal. So therefore only zrika you're chayiv for, as opposed to shchita, Kabbalah, and halacha. Those 3 aren't the completion of this process. They're all taking you to that process. So therefore we skip those three and say Zarva wouldn't be Chayiv Misa, only on the Zrika. And then you have the burning of the fats. Within that concept of burning of the fats is nothing else, right? Maybe we mentioned before, we're going to learn after, that they would bring the fats to the Mizbeach and leave them on the ramp. That you wouldn't be chayiv for because that you haven't finished. But once you burn it on the altar, you're finished. Same thing with the two libations; those are also the finishing process. So those four were the only four Rav and Levi agreed on. But Trumas Hadeshen, which is a sort of independent thing, Rav said it's not a putting, it's a taking, and Levi said even a taking is going to be enough. Okay, so fine. V'Levi Rabbi Rachmana l'chol dvar mizbeach. So how's Levi going to get around Rav's problem? He's going to say, well, the Torah said l'chol dvar mizbeach. Everything that you do on the mizbeach is coming to include something. So he's saying it's coming to include the removal of the ash. The Gemara says v'Rav, and Rav's going to respond ahula su yeshev azo shebefnim. That's going to include the 7 sprinklings that you do inside, right, in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Those 7 is what it's coming to include, because otherwise you might think it's just stuff done on the Mizbeach, and it's coming to include other things. And that's a putting, at least. That's still a giving, and I still don't want to include the removal of the ash. Mitzorah, or the sprinklings that you would do for a Mitzorah. The Levi learns out. So where's Levi going to know these extra 2? So nafkalei midvar v'chol dvar, because there's 2 extra words. There's the word v'chol and the word dvar. V'Rav, and Rav seems to hold dvar v'chol dvar lo dar. She seems to say no. That's not enough of an extra. It doesn't make sense to say one of those 2 words. Those 2 words go together. V'chol dvar is just one limud, and therefore he'd rather keep it with the 7 sprinklings of the Kodesh HaKodashim and the Mitzorah and nothing else. Fine. So now the Gemara asks a question. I believe this question is going to be on Levi. This is already where it gets sticky. But okay. So why don't we go like this? Say l'chol dvar mizbeach is a klal, because that includes everything. And then it says avodas matana, only an avoda of pudding. So let's learn that as is a prat, right? Is a prat. So klalu prat. So let's learn it as a klal and a prat. Ein b'chlal ela masher b'prat. You don't include anything in the klal, only that which is in the prat. And the specific thing was avodas matana in avodas silak lo, only that which is a pudding and not a removal. So Levi should have to agree to Rav that you won't be chai for Trumas Hadeshen, because that's a removal, and we should learn the pasuk as a klalu prat. So the Gemara says Amar Kra u'lebeis parochas. The Torah then continues and defines where this klalu prat was said. Vavatem el nibeis parochas hu de avodas matana v'lo avodas silak. So we're saying, since within this pasuk it said from in front of the parochas, so we're telling you this klalu prat is only applying in the Kodesh, not referring to the Mizbeach. So that would tell you that when is there a removal in the Kodesh HaKodashim? Is right, the Kohen Gadol brings in the fire pan with the incense and he burns it, but then eventually later on that day he removes the pan and the spoon. So Levi's telling you this klalu prat that you want to learn only applies in the Kodesh HaKodashim, which would only exclude taking out the pan. But on the Mizbeach itself, we didn't have this klalu prat, and therefore you would be chai for taking out the Trumas Hadeshen. So that's what he's saying. But outside the Kodesh HaKodashim, afil avoda silak, even removal is going to be enough of an avoda to make you chai. That's how Levi's going to learn it. So Gemara says, I hachi va'avatem nami. So why don't we say like this? Also, it has to be a complete avoda. Ela el nibeis la paroches hu da avoda tama v'lo avoda sheishachara avoda. Right? Because Levi's trying to turn this whole pasuk around now and say it's only talking about the Kodesh HaKodashim. Right? So we're saying, so wait a minute. If that's true, so then remember we had 2 halachas that we're learning in this pasuk. One is it can't be a removal, according to Rav was trying to say, and one that everyone agreed to, it had to be the finishing step of that avoda. So that halacha also that has to be the finishing step should be only in the Kodesh HaKodashim, and outside of the Kodesh HaKodashim you should be chayv on any step, and therefore you should be chayv for shchita, kabbalah, holacha, all those different things should be chayv, because you're trying to say this pasuk is very specific. It's not referring to all other halachas. So habachutz, outside of fil avoda sheishachar avoda, you should be chayv. So the Gemara says that's true, but the pasuk then goes back and says vavadtem. It has an extra word of service to then say we're going to put all services back together and say in regards to this halacha it kind of refers to everything roughly. So Rashi says because the vav, so the vav takes you back. Okay, fine, because It doesn't have a vav. So the vavatem as a vav, it's coming to include saying it applies to all avodas, as opposed to by avodas matana, it didn't have the vav, so it's saying it specifically, this halacha of putting and not taking stays within the Kodesh HaKodashim. Okay, so Hadar Arvikra, the Torah puts it back. Okay, boy Rava. Rava has a question. So far we said in the Kodesh HaKodashim, removal according to Levi, even according to Levi, won't be chayiv. So boy Rava, avodas silik beheichol mahu. What if you're in the heichol, just the Kodesh, and you have to remove various things, whatever you're removing from there? I mean, maybe, I don't know, I'm just guess maybe...
I just have a small question. Azar could not even come into the heichol.
Yeah. It's true, he wasn't supposed to. But you're right, it's a true point. But we want to know, is it so bad that he's going to get chayiv misa for doing the avodah? Yeah, you're right. We just want to know, is he going to get...
Couldn't even come in.
Yeah, but it seems the penalty isn't...
What is the penalty?
Yeah, it's not as bad. We want to know, is he get the full...
Yeah, okay.
Do you give it to him? Yeah, anyways.
I took an extra minute.
Yeah, so I guess it would be... to clean out the menorah, clean out the mizbeach, maybe taking off the lechem upon him. Those would be probably three different things that would be removals within the heichel. So mahu. So lefnim midamin lei. Do we compare the heichel to the kodesh hakadashim, or lechutz midamin lei? Do we compare it outside? So Hadar Pashte, he then answered it. Mi beis ule mi beis. It could have just said the word mi beis la paroches from within the house of paroches. Instead, it says ule mi beis. So it comes to add on, and then it's adding that the heichel is in fact like the Kodesh HaKodashim, and it will be more lenient. And even though he wasn't supposed to go in, but he took the stuff and he did these three avodas of removal, he will in fact be pater. So the Gemara says, Ela me'ata zor shesidres hashulchan l'chayiv. According to you, so you have to know why it's Ela me'ata, but we're meaning. I mean, nothing really. We're saying anything which is a placing is a problem, and you're saying a heichel is only exempt from removal. So if so, Zar Shesider Es HaShulchan, he set up, right, to be Mesader, he set up the Shulchan, he put the 12 lechems, L'chayiv, he should be chayiv, right? So Gemara says, so that should be enough, because it's a pudding, so why aren't you chayiv? The Gemara says, no, it's not complete. Ikka Sider Bezich, and he still has to put the 2 spoons in the lechem upon him. He has to put them down. So Gemara says, well, so, okay, if a Zar goes in and puts down the 2 spoons of Lavona, he should be chayiv. So Sider Bezich and L'chayiv, you should be chayiv for that too. Because that, so to speak, looks like you finished, right? They walk in on Shabbos, they put down the bread, they put down the spoons, and finished for the week. For that set of breads. So shouldn't that be a finishing process? The Gemara says, no, Ika Silak Vahaktara. No, because you still got to take the spoons off and then bring them up on the Mizbeach, which I think most people don't. If you ask them, what's the avod of lechem upon them, they think you just put it on, take it off, and eat it. That's not it. It's you got to take those 2 spoons of Lavona and you got to put them on the Mizbeach. That's the Haktara act for the lechem upon him, and that's what then the lechem upon him is supposed to be leftovers, then you can eat them. But otherwise, you didn't do the avod of lechem upon him. So we're saying the finishing touch of lechem upon him is the burning of the 2 spoons, which then would kind of be the same as burning all other fats. So that's why there is no specific halacha of if he puts the bread down or he puts the spoons down, he's going to be chayiv, because that's never the finishing process. The finishing process is, in fact, the burning of the lavona at a later point. So, fine. So Gemara says, Zar shesider es ha-menorah l'chayiv. So Gemara says, what if he sets up the menorah? So, I guess putting in the oil. Puts the oil in the menorah. Why isn't he chayiv for that? The Gemara says, Ikan nasina psila. You still have to put the wicks in. So Gemara says, Nasam psila l'chayiv. Oh no, it seems, oh no, sorry. So Seder seems he cleans it out or something. I don't know what he's... Because look, we're going to see...
You're right, he cleans them out from the ash.
Okay, fine. I guess, but that, I don't know why that's not a removal. I guess he puts the cups back in or something. Give me 1 second. It says, that says, Rashi's learning, Rashi's learning, the cups were removable. Right, that's what you have to say, otherwise it's Gemara. You take off the cup, you clean the cup, you put the cup back down. Now the putting back down of the cup, that's what the Gemara thought you should be chayiv for. Well, I know the Gemara seems. The Gemara's answer is it's not the finishing touch. I guess it's similar, but so Gemara says you still got to put the wicks in. So Gemara says we chayiv for the wicks. Gemara says you still got to put the oil in. So you're not done yet. So you're going to see nasam psila l'chayiv. You're going to see shemen. You still have to put the oil in. So Gemara says nasan shemen l'chayiv. Putting the oil should be enough. The Gemara says ikad laka. You still have to light it. So Gemara says hidlik l'chayiv. What about the lighting? So Gemara says. Hadlaka lav avodahi. The lighting isn't an avoda. This is a Peladic thing, right? It's not an avoda. what's even more interesting is the Gemara didn't say about the other three processes. Putting in the oil, putting down the cup, putting now that's the avoda. But lighting is not. This would almost seem to sound like hanach. But anyways, it's a very big chiddush.
He says he's not doing it. The flame he's holding to it.
No, it makes sense. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I hear that. So it's
because the next pasuk, v'nosnim ne'aron hakodesh ha'eish.
we're going to ask. Okay, yeah, we'll see. That's what the Gemara is going to get to. Yeah, so we're seeing. It seems we're saying putting fire isn't an avoda, which is very interesting.
Because this is not meant for anybody.
Yeah. So now this gets to the question of: is the only reason Yisrael can't light the menorah is just because it's in the Kodesh HaKodashim? What if you pull it out, let him light, and bring it back in? Okay, but anyways, so obviously you shouldn't do that. But okay, so Gemara says v'lo is lighting something on an avoda v'atanya v'nasu be'aron hakohen eish al mizbeach. They should put the fire on the mizbeach. Seems like that's their avoda. V'archu eitzim al eish, and they should then go put the wood. Right? They should set up, arrange the wood on top of the fire. So limit al hatzasas alisa. The lighting of, how do they do that? Kindling? How do they translate that? Yeah, basically.
Kindle.
Yeah, wood chips, okay. So the lighting of wood chips, shelo tehei ela bekohen kosher, it should be done with a kosher kohen, ubekli shares, right? And you even have to use holy utensils to do such a thing. So you see, lighting a fire is considered an avoda. So why shouldn't halakas neiris be? Gemara says that at least avoda I guess maybe starting a fire maybe is more of an avoda, but this kindling act is more of a avoda. Maybe he's trying to start a fire, getting a good solid fire going, as opposed to just lighting a wick. Hadlak alav avoda a hadlak is not considered an avoda. Okay. So now we want to still find more things that a zar should be chayav misa for, because Rav only mentioned 4 and no more. So Gemara says, Elamiata, only from here, zar shishira samaracha l'chayiv. Right? So a Yisrael who goes ahead and sets up the pile of wood, right, to put our karbonis on, so that seems to be a complete avoda. So what's wrong with that? That should make him chayiv. So Gemara says, Iker seder shnei gizra eitzim. He's still got to put 2 more blocks of wood to finish the process. So Gemara says, okay, so seder shnei gizirin l'chayiv, the 2 blocks that he puts on should be enough. So Gemara says, no. Wow, look at this. Iker cedar avarim. He's still got to put the limbs on, which I guess, we would think about that way. He's saying, making the pile is a garnished. What's the point of a burning pile? The whole burn is the point, burn the fats. Until you put the fats on there, you haven't finished it. So, okay. So Gemara says, wait, okay, that's what you say. But Rav Asi and Rav Yochanan Zarsu Shnei Gizra Eitzim Chayiv. Rav Asi said that Rav Yochanan putting down the 2 woods is in fact Chayiv. So now we have a 6th thing to add to the list, and he argues on you. So Gemara says, Baha Pligi. This is the machlokes between, I guess, the stam of the Gemara against Rav Yochanan. Mar Savar Avoda Tamihi. They seem to look at it, setting up the pile as itself the complete avoda. Umar Savar Avoda Tami, it's not completing the final avoda because the whole purpose is to put the limbs on top. Okay, so now Tani Kavasid Rav, Tani Kavasid Levi. We're going to bring a raya according to Rav, who says you're exempt. You're not chayiv misa at least if you remove the ashes from the mizbeach. We're going to learn a proof to Levi. Tani Kavasid Rav. We're going to bring a proof to Rav. Avodos shizar chayiv alein. What are the avodos that a non-kohen is chayiv for? Misa b'dei shamayim, zrikas dam, right? Throwing the blood, bein lifnim, bein lifnai lifnim. Either even just sprinkling on the paroches, or even lifnai lifnim, where you're sprinkling in front of the aron. V'hamazeh b'chatas ha'of, or if you sprinkle the blood of a chatas of a bird offering, v'hamematza, or when you squeeze the blood against the wall of the mizbeach. So all different types of blood avodas, which all goes into that one throwing of the blood that Rav mentioned already. V'hamaktir, someone who burns up the fats of ba'olas ha'of, of a bird. V'hamenasech shlosha lugin mayim, when he pours 3. So this shita seems told it's Dafka 3 lug of water, Ushlosha lug in yayin, and the 3 lug of yayin. These are all the libations. So only these 4, nothing more. So this brisa clearly goes that Rav, the removal of the ashes is not. Tani the Gavasi Levi, we learned like Levi, Avodo Shizar Chayvele and Misa. So it brings a proof to Levi. Ameri Mesadeshen, someone who removes the deshen. Usheva Azosh Bifnim, the 7 sprinkles of inside, Usha Mitzora, and for a Mitzora. Vamala Gabi Mizbeach, anything you bring on the Mizbeach, Bein Dover Kasher, Bein Dover Puzzle. Even if you weren't supposed to bring it. Wow, that's what they're saying. That's what it seems, right? Even something that's puzzle. But how puzzle? Meaning something which got a lower level, like a small psul, because of its korbanos status. That so it has to be somewhat. It's not just a total you can't just take anything, but something which, if you put it up, you don't take it down. But the it works. Something which works, but the azar would be chayiv on. So, okay. So now we're going back to the Mishnah. Arba Paisis Hayusham. There were 4 different lotteries. So the Gemara says, Lama Mafisin. Why did we have lotteries? What do you mean, why do we have lotteries? We went through the whole thing. It was extremely dangerous not to have a lottery. So Lama Mafisin, why do we have a lottery? Kedamarin, we told you already. Ela Lama Mafisin Mechorz Mafisin. Where it says, what's with the 4 lotteries? Right, which would seem that they gathered together 4 times, at least they went around the circle 4 times. Why do you have a lottery so many times? To make the whole, Azara busy, exactly. Make a scene. So together we make sweet secrets. In the house of our Lord, we go in trepidation. They translate it on the top there. How do they?
With excitement.
Oh, excitement. So they. I think, okay. It's to make a good excitement. Okay, but Mama Fisin. So what are they wearing when they do this lottery? Rav Nachman Amar Big Dechol. They're all wearing their regular Vachadika clothes. Rav Sheshes Sam Big Dekodesh. Rav Sheshes says no, they already put on their Kohanic garments before the lottery, and then when the lottery happens, they're wearing their Big Dekodesh. Rav Nachman. So what's the logic behind this? Rav Nachman Amar Big Dechol. They wear their weekday. The Amar Big Dekodesh. If you're going to tell me if they all wear holy clothes, Ikabali Zros, the Chamsi Va'avdi, the stronger Kohanim are going to say, I don't care about the lottery. They're already wearing their clothes. They'll run, no one can stop them, and they'll go through that photo. There's no way of stopping them. So it's better we hold on to the clothes, don't let them put on the clothes, and we'll only give them out after the winner gets his prize. So if Sheshes are Big Day Kodesh, you let them wear the holy clothes. The Amrit Big Day Chol, no, but the opposite. There's so much excitement. Agav chivivusei, out of their love for it. Mikru va'avdi, they might accidentally just run. Even the guy who won, right? Even the meek guy who won, he wants to do it so badly, he just runs and does the avoda, and he wasn't wearing the clothes. So he's got to wear the clothes before the thing. Amar Rav Nachman says, I know what the Tanan Mosrin lechazanin v'ayu mafshitin osan. The ones who lost, they. Oh, we'll see. No, which one?
You're ahead of yourself.
The one who won? Who I was? Oh,
where do I know?
Right now, it's okay. Where you think it's the one who won?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they give him to the chazanim. Right. Vayimavshitin osan. They would take off their clothes as bigdayan. V'lemenichan aleines mechnasayim bilvad. They'd only put on their pants. So then the Gemara says, "My lav ba'osin says zachu lefayis." Isn't this referring to the ones who won, and then they would?
This is the one who won.
Yeah,
they're getting ready.
Yeah, exactly. So Amar Ravuna Bar Yehuda, Amar Rav Sheshes lo bosin shelo zachu lefayis. It's the ones who didn't win, and they have to undress, take off their big day kodesh. But it also makes sense. The isal k'dayich bosin shezachu lefayis. If it's referring to the ones who won, lo hayu menichan alein ela mechnasayim bilvad. They would only put on their pants. That the pants have to be.
They're also special pants.
So they can't just leave on the regular pants. Right. It seems they're leaving on the regular pants, so obviously that wouldn't be.
Right.
Okay. I guess we stop here, no?
Okay.
What?
We have a few lines.
Oh, okay, fine.
I tell you.
Tamu lomer chnesevari abesaro. The idach and the other one says halokasha hachik tani. You have to read it a little differently. Acha oden alein big dechol malbishin oson michnese kodesh. Even though they're wearing some of the other their weekday clothes, meaning you don't want the person to be with no clothes, so he's wearing his long tunic, you put the kodesh pants underneath him. Fine, then I guess.
One more line.
Right. They'd leave on some of the big dechol and they'd only put on their pants.